All right, we are on air. Happy Thursday, November 30th, everybody. This is a meeting to check in on active development tasks for Backdrop CMS. On our agenda, we have no updates from the project management committee this week. It's been 2 weeks since we've had a meeting, and there are a lot of new projects out there. We've got freeze frame, email contact form, layout wildcard, CK editor auto-grow, and a new theme, Bootstrap Lite, since the last time we reported. So thank you to our amazing contrib community who is continuing to crank out fantastic modules and themes for people to use. I think in the last meeting, we also mentioned that the forum site is up. It looks like it's been getting a lot of attention even since the last meeting. So I would encourage people to begin to use it. You have to create an account there. It's not going to use your existing account. We'll get that sorted out eventually. But you can go there to ask questions. It's a good place to start discussions about things that maybe aren't specific issues with the software. A special thank you to Doc Wilmot, who's been doing all of the work on the forum for the last month. It's been kind of it's been not getting the attention it deserves lately, and I'm really glad that he put in the time to get it across the finish line. Backdropcms.org, I think in the last meeting we also announced that we had a showcase. We've gotten a bunch of people who've submitted sites that they've built on Backdrop into the showcase, which is really exciting to see what people have actually been doing with Backdrop for the past few years. I would encourage anyone else who has a Backdrop site to go ahead and post it there. We're accepting submissions from the general community. There is some moderation on there, so we're going to take a look at sites and make sure that the screenshots are adequate and that there isn't anything missing. It's not a spam post, that sort of thing. But we are trying to get those published as quickly as possible once they come in. Let's see. That's all I have for not Backdrop issues. So I want to turn it over to Nate to talk about Backdrop CMS itself.
Yeah, hey folks. So in the world of Backdrop, Backdrop product, things have been relatively static. I wouldn't say that we're not doing things, but the items that we normally pull out in the agenda here, there haven't been many changes there. So I'm not going to recap those again this week because it seems like we do that every week. I will say new items that have been coming up. It's really great to see new issues going into needs review and new items going into RTPC as well. We've got 4 items in the RTPC list. Thank you, Opie, for going through and doing those code reviews. That's really highly appreciated. We also have a good number of needs review tickets, and those have been piling up, which means that they're on my plate to start going through and really getting some feedback out to all those wonderful people that have been filing pull requests for us. So there's definitely a lot of actions happening in the world of core, just not in the items that we normally pull out for regular ongoing maintenance. So keep up the great work. That's all I have to say there. Backdrop 1.9 is our next minor release. That's when new features and functionality will be coming out or will be added to Backdrop Core. And that release will be coming out January 15th, 2018, which is now exactly 1.5 months away. So that means that we're about to enter December tomorrow, and January 1st is our code freeze date. So that means that we have 1 month remaining to actually make functional changes to Backdrop to get them into the next release. A primary area of effort is around better media handling, and in particular, better file management capabilities. And these issues, I think, are just generally summarized in the Media Library Meta issue at issue 1448. And the 3 main issues that we're working on here are the ability to edit an existing file, issue 2796, making file entities fieldable, 2632, and uploading a file manually, separate of being attached to any other kind of content, is issue 2633. All three of those are in progress, kind of continuing. There hasn't been recent activity on them, although 2796 is definitely the one that is furthest along, unblocked and capable of moving forward at this point. So if anyone is interested in continuing to push that one forward, leave a note in there saying, hey, I'm working on this, and go for it, because that one's not far at all from being completed. An update hook and some minor string changes, and that one is pretty much at completion. So yeah, those are the items that we have. I wouldn't say that there's been too much progress on those recently. So still would love to have some movement there. We are closing in on release time, but I still think 1 month, that's still lots of time for us to achieve all of those things for the 1.9 release. Let's see, next up, items for Backdrop 2.0, followed by 3 question marks here in the agenda. I think we had discussed this earlier today, just right after the outreach meeting. We were talking about paragraphs and how to deal with the paragraphs module as it exists in Drupal 7 and how to provide upgrade paths. And I don't know, Jen, do you want to elaborate on this? It looks like maybe you added this to the agenda.
So this is something Gregory brought up. It's a good point to mention that paragraphs module is getting a lot of attention both in Drupal 7 and in Drupal 8. It's a fantastic tool that allows people to add content of different types in repeating fashions to different pages on their site. So you can create landing pages that way. You can structure more complicated content like articles that way. They may have video or photo, captions, or embedded advertisements, or whatever it is you want can be built using this tool. We have a version of paragraphs that we're working on for Backdrop, and Gregory mentioned that it might be something to consider for core inclusion. The reason I had all those question marks on the agenda is because we talked about it being kind of a big enough feature that we might want to slate that for something like Backdrop 2.0. But after I added it to the agenda, I realized that it could be possible that we could add paragraphs in the Backdrop 1.x lifecycle, because it's currently just a contrib module, and there's no reason that I know of yet that we would need to break the API in order to add that functionality. I mean, it exists for Drupal 7. It's very likely it could exist for Backdrop in the same way. So if we needed to find a killer feature for 2, that might be something we want to continue doing in 2 anyway. But if we want the feature sooner than 2, there might not be any reason that we would have to wait for it. So I just wanted to mention that as well.
Yeah, I might provide some thoughts there that paragraphs by its very nature implies that you have a design that is going to accommodate the specific paragraphs that you set up, which means that paragraphs by its nature means that it's a site that has had an architecture and a design setup that is then followed strictly based on the configuration of the site by the editorial team. And so by its very nature, paragraphs is a module that is suited towards at least having had a custom design plus a dedicated set of editors. So, or maybe that's even just one editor. So although paragraphs is a great solution, I think having it available for Backdrop is a really great idea. I'm not sure about the overlap or the level of accuracy and targeting here for our audiences versus the product that Backdrop provides. I don't know. We could probably discuss further on that. Just an initial thought based on that, functionality that Backdrop provides versus what paragraphs is made for.
the reason why I mentioned this is because officially, even in the projects, in the d.org projects page, they mentioned that it's intended to be the replacement module, the go-to module, instead of field group. And we have a ticket for inclusion of that feature in core. So it would seem redundant to just, maybe we just should replace that ticket that says provide a field group in core with provide paragraphs in core.
Yeah, actually, you're right that makes it that's a much broader piece of functionality. That's like, I would just want the ability to group multiple fields together and add multiple of them. And you're right that is a very common use case. And if people want to take that ability and go crazy with it and end up not crazy with it, but want to use it as a structural tool as you would paragraphs, then that could be killing two birds with one stone.
Yeah, and there's people that want to include sections of content that is not simple text like accordions or images, but be able to move that around with their content. So they add text and then an accordion, and then again text, and then an image, and then an editor might come and decide that they want to move these things up and down. Doing that in the WYSIWYG, like providing accordions in the WYSIWYG, is kind of, it needs a lot of dev work.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas it would be simpler to do that, I reckon, with paragraphs.
Let's see. It looks like Jen is AFK at the moment. Well, I don't have anything further, I think, to discuss on that. I think it's a good thing for us to consider, and I think taking a look at paragraphs is, I'm not sure if we'll continue calling it paragraphs, just because it's a kind of a terminology Drupalism there. But continuing to look at that, especially as an option for handling multiple field handling, grouping, then yeah, let's keep an eye on it and just continue that discussion in the core issue queue.
Sorry, I didn't get the beginning. What was the intention to move it into core instead of delivering it as a contrib module?
Well, I think
we do already have a ticket for inclusion of certain features in core, like field groups.
Yeah.
Or any feature that would include grouping fields together.
Mm-hmm.
And even in the paragraphs module page in d.org, they mentioned that it is the, just hold on, let me get that. So the module page in d.org, you will see that there is a section that is saying, maybe they just removed that, or maybe it's the other way around. It's not the paragraphs module that is mentioning field collection, but it's the other way around. So there's some modules in d.org that say that they are thinking of moving towards a paragraph solution. That was the main thing.
Yeah, the field collection module says that it's not going to do a Drupal 8 version. Instead, it's going to encourage people to change to paragraphs.
Okay.
The file can be used for various use cases, but for the specific ones that we have decided that we do want these sort of features in core, maybe instead of trying to do it, to do the port of the field group or field collection fields, maybe we should just consider moving to paragraphs instead, which is more flexible and it has a more intuitive user interface. Well, at least that's my opinion.
Jeez. Okay, it's giving me nightmares looking at that field collection project page. Okay. All right. General discussion. Last item of the agenda today. we have some discussion about translation and internationalization, things that we're doing to kind of move things forward there. I do think maybe just giving a little bit of a general summary might be a good idea, because there's been some movement happening in that area. Olaf, is there anything in particular you'd like to mention regarding translation and internationalization since you're present?
Yeah, shortly, we have this project to translate the Backdrop for Good website as a use case for multilingual or better multilingual backdrop. And so we began to work with it and are beginning to make some progress, and yeah, found some of the first issues. And now we, in the last days, we had an example where we fixed one of the issues, and which wasn't really a bug, but yeah, it didn't make sense, a certain behavior of Backdrop when you have content translation enabled. And so we discussed shortly if it makes sense to put such enhancements directly in core, maybe in a alternative internationalization module. And so far we decided, or I don't know if we really decided it, but we thought together at the beginning of the dev meeting that it might be better to put them in core directly, because there was missing something, and now it's just better, and you need these things. And so we're at the same time we're making progress actually translating this site, the Backdrop for Good site, and we have now French, Spanish, German, and we will get Greek, I think, in a moment, or in the next days. And so, yeah, we don't have finished this work, but make some progress. And I think there will be a lot of more of these small issues, which I hope can be fixed a big part quite easily. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's great. I really like that we've got this community project, both its purpose and, you know, basically working together on something that gives us this opportunity to, you know, test out these use cases of Backdrop, like as a group together. So I think it's great on all sides. And to summarize, yeah, the field that the option we were talking about, let's see, gosh, I had that issue just a second ago. Thank you. Is issue
2910.
Oh, sorry. I guess this is a different one. Oh, sorry. Multiple issues here. 2910, you said?
Yeah.
Is the Backdrop core issue, just suggesting that we move some functionality from i18n module that had been in Drupal 7 just directly into Drupal core, Backdrop core. And yeah, great idea. I mean, we have that flexibility in Backdrop, and that wasn't the case in, you know, in Drupal 7. So you ended up with modules like i18n module that were essentially necessary to have a useful internationalized or translated website. So yeah, that's definitely the best option, is let's just move things into core that are absolutely necessary for internationalized websites and be done with it. So great to see things like that. Also, 2 weeks ago at the end of the dev meeting, we talked about the POT extractor module, POTX module, which is in Backdrop contrib. Jeff did a great job porting that module over to Backdrop to get the most basic functionality working. And at the end of the meeting 2 weeks ago, I opted to volunteer to fix extracting translation strings from JavaScript files, and so that is now fixed and working. So that's great. I'm continuing to do some work today on it, just kind of continue removing some unnecessary cruft from the module. But it's looking really good. I'm really glad to see this module come together, and it will kind of hopefully enable us to start using that wonderful localization server that we have set up that doesn't have any strings on it, because the big problem here is we don't have the module set up yet to do the parsing and then to upload it to the translation server. So first thing is to get the template extractor, translation template extractor working, and then from there automate the process of when a new release comes out, do the template extraction, and then upload it to the translation server. So it's great to see that first step, or maybe the second or third step, coming along so nicely. Okay, well, those are the things that I've been hoping to mention as far as internationalization is going. And so that's all I've got. Is there anything else you guys would like to bring up or discuss before we call it a meeting?
No.
Okay. Well, I guess that's it then. Thank you, everybody, again for joining, and thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll catch you again next week. Yay. Goodbye.